field of endeavor. And it may not be running or swimming or archery, but perhaps your finances are something that could use a little brush up. Financial advisor Rob Wilson says there's a whole lot more to success than simply being a top athlete. Brother Rob, good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Hey, glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
You know, the Olympics, I think, sometimes put in perspective the fact that so much work goes into this for these athletes. They started when they were 6 or when they were 4, and they've been doing this, and that's what they've always wanted to do. And yet we don't necessarily look the same way at taking care of our own personal finances that these athletes do in terms of their training. Why not?
Well, because I tell you what, I think I'll start to blame Robin Leach, right? Because the way we glamorize the way wealth is made in America, we tend to overlook a lot of industries. So we sort of make heroes out of our athletes and our entertainers.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Absolutely. But you know what? Things aren't always what they seem. Excuse me. Even in the Olympics, these athletes want to go for the gold, but the gold medal is actually 93% silver.
Right. Very little gold, even
very little gold, even in the gold medal. So I think that people should focus more on, you know, sort of trying to accomplish things than focusing on the material things that you can achieve from buying wealth. And I tell you what, again, we overlook some ways to make money and live the type of life that you want to live. So I thought that it'd be good for us to shed some light on some of the other ways that average individuals like you and I can't jump that high, I'm not going to run that fast, but there are a lot of other ways that I can be successful.
You know, sometimes we get this perception, or kids do in particular, that the people who are making all the money are the athletes and the entertainers, and that's the only way that you can really be rich. But there are people in a lot of other professions that are making a very good lifestyle. How do you get kids to think about that?
Well, I think you've got to expose them to the information. And the first thing, when we want to talk about who are those millionaires, 2/3 of the millionaires in the United States are actually self-employed individuals. So
2/3?
Actually more than 2/3. It's hard to nail in on the exact number, but well over 2/3 are self-employed. So that means they may run a business, but there's also self-employed professionals like accountants and attorneys and physicians who run their own practices. So those individuals are counted in that as well. So a lot of people who are building this type of wealth are working for themselves and not working for someone else. So when you want to know who makes the most money out of those individuals, actually managers at big companies come in number 1, but you also have doctors, people in financial professions, and attorneys who account for 69% of the top 1% of wage earners. So those are the individuals that are making the most money. When you talk about going for the gold, that's what you want to do. You want to earn a high salary. But here's an interesting point. When you talk about who actually saves the most, now the managers and the executives actually do come in first again. So they're about 17% of the highest savers. But who comes in at number 2? Educators.
And people think of that as not being a lucrative financial, but they're being very, very thrifty in terms of their long-term financial success?
Absolutely. And the key here is that most educators come from 2-income households. So it's very hard to become a millionaire on your own. But think about it. When you get married, you know, you cut your expenses in half right away. And a lot of these millionaires, what they did was they found someone who helped them, you know, really realize their dream. And so coming from a 2-person household is going to help you get there quicker.
Is there a way that you can go out and find a mentor then? Is there a way that you can go out and say, help me along the way, help teach me what you have learned?
Absolutely. That's the first thing you got to do. All of these top Olympic athletes have coaches. No matter how good you feel like you are at something, you've got to have a coach to help you eliminate those mistakes. The second thing you do is that you have to practice. All of these Olympic athletes who are very successful practice for so long. You mentioned they started playing when they were 6 years old. There's a great book out there called Outliers, and Malcolm Gladwell suggests that you need about 10,000 hours of very deliberate practice to become an expert in your field.
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours. So which would be about, if you did 40 hours a week, it'd be about 5 years. So you don't know if you could actually do 40 hours a week of very intense practice. So it may take a little longer than that, but 10,000 hours.
You know, it's why doctors go to residency and things like that for an extended period of time after medical
school. It takes time. You want to be confident that that doctor knows what he's doing, right?
You got it.
The third thing I want to talk about is forget about trying to be sexy. You know what? We glamorize the sports, the entertainment, the movies, and all that kind of things, but there are tons of people who are making a lot of money and living the type of lives that they want to live, doing things like contracting and paving roads and moving dirt around on these big construction projects. Don't just focus on all of the sexy careers. There are a lot of other things that you can do out there that aren't as sexy. sexy. And I mentioned this before, but marry the right person. Finding the right partner.
Marry well, is that what you're saying?
Marry well.
Yeah.
It's good, and that doesn't mean just go find somebody that's rich and marry them. It means find somebody who believes in you and who you can work together toward a common goal. 95% of millionaire households are actually married couples, and so that's going to help you build wealth over time.
Well, my wife has told me for years, behind every good man's a good woman, right?
That's right. That's right.
How is it, though, that when you're putting together these plans for people, that some people will listen and some people won't? I mean, you've put together a video, the best kept secret that you're trying. Is this a different way to try to get your message across?
It is, and you know, so here's what happens. I talk to a lot of kids very frequently, and when I tell them I work with professional athletes and entertainers, that's what they get fixated on. How much does this guy make? What kind of house does he live in? What kind of car does he drive? And so there's unintended consequences to that, because you know there's going to be a small percentage of those kids who can actually become professional athletes.
Very small percentage.
So what I wanted to do was expose these kids to the myriad options that they have available to them for success. The problem is they can't dream about things that they haven't seen before. But if you show them examples of folks that look like them, sound like them, came from where they came from in similar circumstances, they'll begin to believe that they can do that as well. So I created this project called The Best Kept Secret to expose these kids. We actually started the project here. They followed me here.
And this is some of the video that was taken here at KDKA, showing kids behind the scenes of what goes into actually being involved in television.
Exactly, to see what really happens throughout that day. I also took them to see a orthopedic surgeon, a friend of mine who graduated from Pittsburgh, a commercial real estate attorney, and then a couple of guys who sold a tech company at the height of the .com boom, and for about $80 million, and have this fantastic house on Mount Washington.
And went to Savoy, a big restaurant in town too.
They've got to see all of these examples that they don't see on a day-to-day basis in their neighborhood or in the media. So what we plan to do now is launch this into a video series that people can go to my website, robwilson.tv. They can check out this initial video as well. But what we're going to do is, you can't always get 15 kids on a bus, take them out of school for a day, and have them meet these individuals in person.
What do the kids think? What do they think when they see it? What's the reaction?
I tell you what, you could see some of the kids looked on their faces in this video. They have no idea that some of these things are available to them and that they can attain this level of success. But my opinion is, if you just shed a little bit of light, if you just open the door a little bit, they'll find their way in, and they'll start to pursue other things than sports and entertainment.
Ways that maybe they can go for the gold in their own career choice.
You're exactly right.
All right, Rob. Hey, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Great advice, and some of the secrets that he's talking about there, the best kept secret. That video is available on his website. He's a financial advisor with Glacier Capital Management and a regular here on Money Mondays on Pittsburgh Today Live.
I created this project called The Best Kept Secret because I felt like, even though I work with professional athletes and entertainers, I feel like these kids need to know the myriad options that are available to them outside of those industries.